the podcast, I'd be all like butterflies would start like oh my goodness, it's ready to go, and then now it's just like whatever. I'm nervous with the countdown.
Yeah, no big deal for you, right?
Well, not anymore. Well, we're here with Brooks. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. I'm getting excited to take off from Northeast Ohio and start playing in some pool tournaments, some more pool tournaments. We're heading to, in about a week and a half or 2 weeks, we're heading down to Southwest Ohio for the CSI Ohio State tournament. So that'll be my next stop.
I just arrived into New Jersey, so I had a nice little catch a flight over here to New Jersey. So I'm here for the sand. Everybody who is tuning into this and buy that stream so that you can imitating the entire event. Fun stuff. But we're not talking about that today. We're going to talk about you. Who follows the page? I made an introduction to you, Sean, 2 days ago. Was it last night or was it 2 days ago? Or was it last night?
Yeah, I think it was yesterday.
So yesterday. So essentially, you reached out to the podcast a month ago or something like that, 3 weeks ago, something like that, and you're kind of looking for maybe a platform to expand the reach of what you're actually. Once we had a chance to sit down and talk, I thought it was pretty awesome. Essentially, what I guess talk for you, interesting, and I think it should be fun. So why don't you tell people several months and just to who you are and what you plan on doing over the next few months?
Yeah, definitely. So it's pretty exciting. It all started out, I just wanted to travel this winter and play in some big pool tournaments, really get serious about the game. I've been playing for quite some time, but it's never really been a serious part of my life. So we have the opportunity this winter to do just that, to really put some time in, put some table time in practicing, and then get out there and see what I can do against competitors. So the first thing I did is I started looking at CSI tournaments. I know they're all over the country, and I've played in the Arizona CSI quite a bit, Vegas a few times, and I qualified here in Ohio, where I am this summer, with the team that's going to be playing. We're going to be playing in the Ohio State tournament. So I decided that I would just start researching larger tournaments around the country, knowing approximately where I was going to be during the winter months, and started finding all kinds of great tournaments to play in. I just got back from Michigan. I played up in Grand Rapids at Eastside Billiards. Rich has a great pool hall up there. We played in an open tournament. It's my first open tournament, bar box 9-ball against quite a few pros. I think maybe 25% of the field was 700 and higher Fargo rate. So it was pretty amazing to be part of that and to watch. And from there, journeyed down to Battle Creek, where I played in the CSI Michigan State tournament. I did pretty well in 10-ball.
One of them.
I did, yeah. So I got 7th, 8th, and 10-ball, and then I actually won the 8-ball Platinum division. So I was pretty excited about that. I also hold a 10-ball championship down in Arizona with CSI. So I don't know if that makes me the first multi-state champion. Probably not, but I'm hoping to add to that on this journey. So yeah, pretty excited. Found a bunch of tournaments out west that we'll be going to after Vegas, the CSI Vegas tournament in March, and then we'll be heading up the west coasts and then across the north and then back to Ohio in May. So
we're going to go over your events, but we got to know who you are first. You
know who I am.
The Nomad. Yeah.
The Nomad.
Let's hear who you are. How did you get to the
So about 8 years ago, my wife and I were living in Phoenix. We had a nice house in Ahwatukee, and the state decided to buy it and put in a freeway. So we sold the house, decided we didn't want to be in debt anymore. So we bought a shuttle bus from the city of Tucson that they sold us on eBay, turned that into a camper, and we just started traveling. We traveled in that bus for about 4 years, and we had a baby. My wife was told by two different doctors she couldn't get pregnant, but they didn't know what they were talking about. And today we have a beautiful 4-year-old boy. He's awesome. So from that bus, once he was born, we decided to upgrade to a traditional motorhome. We had that for about a year and continued to travel the country. We own a fireworks lot in Phoenix. We teamed up with Scott Frost, and we own just a single lot down in Phoenix where we sell twice a year on the 4th of July and New Year's Eve. So he runs it 4th of July. We help run it on New Year's Eve because we don't like to be anywhere the weather's that hot. And so we just continue to travel. We've upgraded to a couple different campers since then. We're now in a pull behind camper, and we just continue to do that. So last few places we've been, when I talk to people and I tell them about our travels, they started saying, "Wow, you're a real nomad." And it kind of stuck. And it was pool players that kind of started calling me that, and I really liked the nickname, so I decided to adopt it, and it's been kind of stuck ever since. So yeah, so I use it as my pool moniker. And
seems like a better nickname than Vagabond.
Vagabond, yeah, or Bum, or yeah, any of those. It could have been a lot worse. So yeah, so I really appreciated it, and just kind of stuck with it. So yeah, so we just travel with the weather. We live down in Mexico for a couple months a year, and my wife, who is a competitive bodybuilder, she can find a gym or a workout program anywhere she goes. So it works well with her pastime and lifestyle as well, with me playing pool. So it two kind of lifestyles that really gel well with traveling.
So before we get talking about pool, I think it's too weird in a respectful kind of way. Weird of a lifestyle to just. You've been traveling for 8 years. You've been to, you think, in that amount of time?
I'm sorry, you kind of broke out. What was the question? How many what?
States do you think you've been to?
Oh, states. So my wife and I together in the 8 years, we've been to 49 states. Since we've had our son, he's been to 46 states. We're going to knock out Oregon and Washington for him this next spring, which leaves Alaska and Hawaii. Will be the last two that we need to go to as a family.
What are some of your highlights?
What highlights
do you like?
You know, the states vary so much. Each one has beauty, but I'd say our two favorite places that we've been to in the country, just in the continental United States, are going to be Glacier National Park up in northern Montana. It's got to be the most beautiful place I've seen on the planet, and I've been to 51 countries now. It's a majestic place. You really can't even describe it. Pictures don't do it justice. It's phenomenal, and I know it goes up into Canada and up into Banff, that similar kind of look. So that's another place we want to go to. I think the second place, just kind of near and dear to my heart, are the Smoky Mountains. Just last year, the first time in my life at 44, it's been a dream of mine to see wild bears, and I've been to any place you can think of that has wild bears outside of Alaska and never saw one. We just happened to be driving through the Smoky Mountains on a back road. We kind of got lost, and we came around a corner, and there was a mama black bear with her 3 cubs just wrestling and playing while the mom ate grass. And we just sat there for a half hour just watching it. And so, yeah, those two places are probably our two favorite to visit.
Pretty awesome. I do want to apologize to everybody. Not going to be very good. I've tried my Wi-Fi in my 5G, and apparently it's just going to do the best I can. Hopefully I'm not. We want to hear Sean's story. So sorry, everybody. So how long have you been playing pool? When did you start?
I kind of put that in the bio I sent you. I really started young. I started as a little kid. My mom was a bartender, and I started, probably 4 or 5 years old, about my son's age now, actually. I would drag a little step stool around the pool table, and I'd play these old guys for quarters, and I'm sure they were letting me win, but, it was a lot of fun for me, and it's a memory that I've had, my whole life. I really kind of got competitive when I was a teenager, late teens, right before I joined the Marine Corps, and I took that overseas with me, and tried to play in as many local pool halls as I could around the world. And it was a pretty amazing experience. I got to play in the Philippines and Thailand and Japan and Australia, and so it was a phenomenal experience just to see how pool is played all over the world. I wouldn't really say I was still very competitive back then. I had no instruction, no lessons. I really didn't know what I was doing. I was just a ball banger back then, but it was a lot of fun. So it's always kind of been in my blood. My dad, I remember when I was a kid, he would take me to his pool leagues and pool tournaments and things like that. And so it's always kind of been part of my life. I just now have the opportunity to make it a serious part of my life. So that's kind of what we're doing here.
Sure. And we're going to talk about your event. Decide to do, I guess, kind of switch into considering yourself a professional player. I would assume you're considering yourself I mean, how would you describe yourself to?
It's kind of a tough description. I get a lot of people that aren't really familiar with pool that call me a semi-pro, and I don't even know if that's a thing in pool. But I have sponsors. I have some great sponsors, and I can win money occasionally playing pool, as a lot of tournament players do. I don't know that there's any other sport out there like this where somebody at my level can compete and make money. So I don't know that there's anything to compare it to. It's more than a hobby, maybe an enthusiast would be a good way to put it, with a desire to get to a higher level. My goal in the next 10 years maybe would be to get to a level where I'm considered one of the best bar table players in the country. So aspiring to become a pro, I would say.
Enthusiast, I think it's, for somebody who basically is playing on the road, enthusiast seems like so. Okay, let's branch into, I guess, your actual events now. You were just at the Michigan, and of course, I watched a little bit of your match. You were playing my buddy in the final, Matt Kitzman. You played him in the final. I guess we have your graphics of where you're going to be at. So let's start with where we want to go, right?
That's going to be my trip. That's going to be my spring trip. Yeah.
Oh, yep. Sorry about that. All right. So here, describe.
There you go.
To us.
All right. So November 1st, we're going to be taking off where that little car is up in the top right, Northeast Ohio. That will be after the Ohio tournament. We're going to head down to Ohio to play in the CSI states. We'll come back to Northeast Ohio to pack up our things, and then we'll hit the road November 1st. The original plan was to go directly to Indianapolis to play in the Midwest Bar Table. I found out today that that's being postponed until December. So I've kind of rerouted that part of the route. Still along the same road, but I'm going to stop at a few different places. I'm stopping at Big Time Billiards in London, Ohio for a money match, the Players Club over by St. Louis, Missouri for a money match, and then I've got a few more along the way. The next major tournament is going to be the Oklahoma State CSI tournament in Lawton, Oklahoma, where I'll be playing 8-ball singles, 10-ball singles, and I think I have a team put together, a team of misfits from around the country that are actually going to be there playing singles that want to do a team. So that hasn't been solidified, but I'm working on getting that done. From Oklahoma, we're going to head down and see some friends in Wichita Falls, Texas, playing a couple tournaments there. They have a few pool halls there that have some really good tournaments. And then into, let's see, Lubbock, Texas, to Albuquerque, and then we're going to go visit family up in Mancos, Colorado, and then down through Arizona and into Mexico. We'll head down to Mexico after our fireworks stand in December, so we'll stay down there probably about 4 or 5 weeks in February, and then from there we'll start our spring trip.
So let's just a second. Obviously, there's listeners, and I'm sure a lot of them live somewhere this route. If somebody wanted to do your trip, maybe even swing through and maybe they want to get in and do some. Maybe they're just a pool room that wants to hold about doing that. Any of those things.
Yeah, so I mean, the original reason to start this trip was for me to get out and play pool and win some money. That's if I could make a living in this, that would be fantastic. But it's blossomed into so much more than that since I've started talking about the trip. I had my very first sponsor, We Play Billiards, reach out to me and say, "Hey, we want to sponsor you. We're going to send you some jerseys and hook you up with some gear." And I said, "That's fantastic. I never even thought of that." So then I started reaching out to more and more sponsors. So now what I want to do, after talking with Digital Pool and Salado, who are also great sponsors of mine, I really want to do what I can to grow the sport. I want to head to these small towns that don't necessarily have access to these great big tournaments without driving 3 or 4 hours. And I want to talk to pool hall owners, and I want to talk to tournament directors and see if there's anything I can do as far as my knowledge or advertising, to help them grow the thirst for pool in their community, to help them grow the attendance at their tournaments. Some of the tournaments I've been to have a fantastic turnout, and some of the tricks that they use, not tricks, but some of the techniques they use to get people excited about their tournaments, that's something I can share all across the country. So I really want to do that. And then I also want to interview some locals that have been in the community for a long time and find out, the history of pool in their community, the current climate, how, pool is viewed in their community now, and if they have any ideas on how to grow the sport where they are. And really just do some cool interviews and, get to know some great people along the way. A lot of times, in the past, I've headed these tournaments, you play somebody, you race to 8, shake hands, you're done, and you part ways, never to talk to that person again. I want to take a little more time on this trip and actually get to know the people that I play, spend some time with them and find out who they are, find out the kind of people that really enjoy competing in the sport that you and I love so much.
And that is where I'm really excited of what we're doing here at the Cue It Up Network. I think that this is going to be fantastic. Getting room owners, different players, whether they're good, whether they're bad pool rooms, whether they're bad pool rooms, flair of all of these different I guess really the U.S. and the world, because you're going to Mexico, probably end up in Canada at some point in time, whether it's the future. There's a lot of places that you're experiencing, and I think every year, and I think that's going to be a really cool thing that you're doing. So, did you want to talk a little bit more in depth about what you're going to help with the podcast with?
Yeah, with your podcast, exactly. Yeah. So one of the great things about reaching out to you is you give me some fantastic ideas, and that's kind of where the interviews came from. To really do like a once a week or a once a month spot where I just talk to people and find out more about them, and to also, you've got more of a following than I do. So as far as advertising your name out to the pool community, I'm going to do that, but I don't know how much I'll be able to grow your listeners. But just to get some great content, just to really, help people understand that the people that play pool might not be the perceived notion that they've had from the past. Pool had a bad name for a long time, hustlers and smoky bars, and it was never looked at in a good light. So to really get out and find out who these people are and to help grow the sport, I think that's going to be the most exciting part of my trip. If I think I can do this journey and I've made a positive impact in the game, then I think that's more than I could have ever asked for.
Sure. Pretty deep into the podcast at this point to get to this. Will be a good time for now. If people want to follow the post a couple days or yesterday, I guess is what we decided. Bringing you onto the podcast today because we want to really introduce people to what you're hoping to accomplish, all that good stuff. If they're not able to actually follow along with you, right? So the podcast, actually on the page itself, but most of your journey is going to be documented through your. People want to actually follow along to and all of the good stuff that's going to come with it. How to?
Yeah, I'm going to be posting everything on Facebook. My wife is trying to talk me into doing more of an Instagram and TikTok and all the other social media platforms. But for now, I'll let her take care of that if she wants to be my media manager. But for now, I'm just posting everything on Facebook. I'll probably dive a little bit into Instagram. I've used that quite a bit before. So yeah, just go ahead and send me a friend request. It's under Brooks Sean. You'll have Nomad as my nickname, and then you'll see my logo. It's the compass with the guy playing pool in the profile picture. And you can send me a friend request, or you can just follow if you'd rather do that. Pretty much everything I post on that page is going to be public content. So you're not going to miss anything out if you just follow along.
And I'll throw that link up in the chat. Of course, this is going to be, honestly, you probably want to actually watch the video version because we're, the maps and all that stuff. But I'll throw that out there in the link to this description or the description. If you are watching in an audio form, you can find it in the description. So I guess let's move on to we your trip. Let's take a look at your second leg, and you can walk what you're up to and what you're doing.
Right. So yeah, we're gonna of course start down in Mexico and head straight up to Vegas at the end of February for the CSI Nationals, BCA Nationals. So far, I'm playing in the singles events. Still working on getting a team together for that. From there, we're gonna head up towards. We want to see Lake Tahoe. Spend a little time there. It's gonna be a little chilly in March, but we're still gonna check it out. And then I've never been to, but I really want to go check out Hard Times in Sacramento. So we'll be stopping there. That's the C on there that you see. Try to get into
Dominguez.
What's that?
Dominguez, that's his room.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, and again, anybody that has any pool halls or bars along the way, provided that they're non-smoking, I would appreciate that. I'd love to stop in. We're not on a super dedicated timeline. As long as we get to the tournaments, when the dates are, anytime in between, if we can stop in and meet new people and play in some new venues, that would be fantastic. So from Sacramento, we're going to head up and visit some family in Northern California, and then just head straight up the coast. Pretty much between D and H is going to be family and friends. I'm going to stop in some cities along the way and play in some tournaments. There might be a slight adjustment to this route. We might actually either speed it up a little bit. I just found out there's a tournament in March in Rugby, North Dakota. And I know everybody's thinking North Dakota in March. That sounds fantastic. But it looks like a pretty good tournament. So we may shoot over to North Dakota before both of the before both of the Wyoming tournaments. And if we do, that's going to add another 1,500 miles or so onto the trip. But yeah, so just across through Tacoma and down through into Wyoming. There's a couple of great tournaments in Wyoming in April, or they were last year. So I'm hoping they're going to be around the same timeline this year. South Dakota is the Deadwood Shootout. I didn't get a chance to go to that last year, but I really want to this year. Looks like a great tournament. I've got some friends out of Arizona that played in it last year, and they had a blast. Excuse me. From South Dakota, we're going to head straight across into Wisconsin. The Wisconsin CSI State Tournament, where I might be teaming up with your buddy. playing in Baraboo for that one in May, and then back across into Ohio. We'll be getting to Ohio before Memorial Day, and then I know Illinois over by Chicago has another bar box classic that I'm thinking about going to play in, but I haven't solidified that one yet.
Sure. So, I guess let's get this. Again, anybody along are on this route or very near it, and you have what you think would be valuable for him. You want to, swing through and meet him along his way. Be sure to head over and either send him a friend request, get a hold of him through that. Sounds like looks like I'm assuming you are a big supporter of what we do over here. So meet up with him on the way. He's a good dude to hang. There's Chalkies in Carbondale, Illinois, really close to where you're at. That might be a good place for you to swing by. Has any good suggestions for him? I'm down, and you'll make as many of those as you can, right?
Definitely. And this won't be my first trip. This is just going to be this winter, and then we plan on doing something very similar again next year. So I can hit up a bunch of new places. If I don't make it to see you this year, then I'll do my best to put you on the route for next year.
Sure. So that's mostly the introduction I wanted to give people to this podcast. I mean, what can you do? We're in a hotel. I think my internet here is pretty bad. So I apologize. On the road, we fit these things in when we can. You can get over the audio issues, and give a shout out to your sponsors who are helping you along. And then second off, how can they follow all of this stuff?
I missed that second part. How can they what?
And how can they follow time?
So yeah, okay. So I've got my first one is my jersey sponsor out of Arizona. We Play Billiards. They do a very clean jersey. They're very nice. Digital pool. The best way to do any tournament, I think, is to run it through digital pool. Those guys are pretty awesome. We Play Billiard. I already said them. Salado app. Another couple of good guys that helps me out. So if you need to do any one-on-one matches, get your numbers up in your Fargo rating or established, that's a good way to do it. And then KC Elite out of Flagstaff, Arizona, all your electrical and firearms needs, KC Elite. And that's it for now as far as my sponsors. Looking to build more. I'm looking for a Q sponsor and a case sponsor, and anybody else that wants to sponsor a ball banger traveling around the country. I'm open to it. So.
Sure. I'll close it off there. We'll have you out more times on the future. Hopefully, again, I apologize that to everybody, but we'll keep up to date with what's happening, and hopefully in the future. So, everybody, meet the Q It Up family.
Thanks, Neight.
Yep. All right.